We're going to be talking today about a very underappreciated watch brand. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Humble Horologist channel. My name's Anthony, and we're going to be talking today about a very underappreciated watch brand. And I have one of the watches from that brand on my wrist today. As a matter of fact, I'll show it to you right here. It's an Armitron. Armitron, believe it or not, is a watch brand that doesn't get a lot of love, doesn't get a lot of respect, I don't think. I don't hear many reviews on Armitron watches that came out, probably because there are so many different models that come out. Armitron is famous for having so much variety that there's hardly anybody in this world that could not find an Armitron that fits their look. Now, Armitrons aren't for everyone because the typical Armitron watch is more of a fashion brand. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of brands that use Armitron as their watches. They just change the name. But the more durable watches that come from Armitron are their sport watches. Most of those today are those that are made out of resin, and they look like a G-Shock or something like that. Those are pretty good, solid watches and have a lot of sports endorsements. But the other ones, if you went to any place to find them, it's going to be someplace like a Walmart where anybody can buy a watch for just about any budget. But I found this little beauty on eBay. I paid $5 plus shipping. So I guess maybe a total of $10 for it. And I got it home and cleaned it up. I want to show you what it looked like before I cleaned it up. It was pretty grungy, I'm telling you. I had to take it apart and clean the bracelet, and that alone was rewarding, I guess I could say, because it was pretty nasty. But once I got it cleaned up, it looked really nice. It was a nice little watch, and it had some distinguishing characteristics about it that I didn't really notice, and it wasn't obvious before I bought it. For instance, it has a deep purple dial. I didn't notice that at first. I thought it was black, but it's deep purple. And quite frankly, I think it's very pretty. Also, the chapter ring inside is practically mirrored. It was hard to even see it at first. But with this one, it looks like the dial goes under the bezel. That alone is an interesting thing that I haven't seen on any other watch that I've got. Again, this is only a $5 watch. Some people, though, are really snobby when it comes to watches. And I don't really like it when people are watch snobs. This vintage Armitron is just as well built, just as durable as many watches that I've seen brand new in a jewelry store. And I can say that for a fact because I work in one. You may be one of those people that say, I would never buy an Armitron watch. They're just too inexpensive, they're cheap, they're made in China. But did you know that Armitron has a very interesting story? Let me tell you a little bit about it. When you think about the Armitron watch company, you might think it is a Chinese company. And you would really be wrong. Sadly so, because E. Gluck Corporation is the company that owns Armitron, and it was founded by a man named Eugene Gluck and his wife, Jean. Now, Eugene was a Romanian Jew. He was born in Romania before World War II, but in 1942, the war came there, and it took his whole family, including Eugene, into the Auschwitz concentration camp, where he ended up being the only survivor. While there, he looked up at one of the soldiers and made a vow. He promised that one day he would get out of that place He said, I'm going to survive this, and I'm going to show you how people are supposed to treat other human beings. And then after that, he went to New York, where he and his wife, Jean, started a bakery. She baked the bread. He went around and sold it, took orders and sold it. And then they expanded their horizons later in 1959 and started the watch company, Armitron. In the 1970s, the watch industry took off when it became digital, and Armitron was right there to make a huge impact. But really, they took off the most when they came out with watches like these, the character watches. I even had one of the Daffy Duck ones there back in 1994. And now you can buy re-releases of their digital watches, which are still pretty cool. Now, when you go into a Walmart and you see a stand like this, and you see these watches, you might think again, well, that's just inexpensive, Chinese-made watches. They're no good. Well, they might not be good for you, but they're inexpensive, and they give everybody the opportunity to wear something that looks nice and keeps time. And that was Mr. Gluck's overall goal. Treat people right and to give them something nice. So now what do you think about Armitron? Bet you didn't know some of that, did you? Does it give you a different impression about the watch brand? Does it give you a different impression about maybe the watches themselves? You might not have a change of heart when it comes to the level of quality that you expect out of a timepiece. Some of these old vintage ones, though, from way back, I don't know how way back, the 90s, early 2000s, I think this is a very good watch. Whatever the case, don't be a watch snob. Don't look down at somebody else, even if they are wearing a $5 watch, new. Because anybody who's wearing a timepiece on their wrist is able to tell the time. If it tells the time, it's doing what it's supposed to. So I hope you'll join us next week, and we'll look at something a little bit different then too. But until then, remember, watches are replaceable, but time is not. And by the way, if you want any merchandise, we have that too. Here, the hat that I've been wearing is the Humble Horologist, and we also have mugs, as you can tell from the opening.